Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into something really foundational from James Allen's classic, As a Man Thinketh. It's over a century old, in 1903, I think.
That's right. Still incredibly relevant, though.
Totally. And the core idea is simple, but wow, it's powerful. If you've ever felt like, life just happens to you, like you're subject to fate or luck.
Good or bad.
Exactly. Well, Allen basically provides a kind of instruction manual for flipping that perspective entirely. Yeah, our goal here is to really unpack his central claim. They themselves are makers of themselves. It's quite a statement.
It is. He argues the mind is this, master weaver.
Right. Weaving not just our inner character, but also, as he puts it, the outer garment of circumstance, our actual life situation.
And that's the absolute core premise we need to wrestle with today. Allen doesn't really mince words. He says a person is, quite literally, the sum total of their thought.
Literally what they think.
Yes. And character isn't just personality. It's the complete accumulation of all those thoughts. He uses that old aphorism, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
A classic line.
And he applies it across the board. Every condition, every circumstance, every little detail of your life stems from this mental source.
How does he explain the how, though? The mechanism?
He treats it almost like physics. Pure cause and effect, but operating in the realm of thought.
Yeah.
Every single action, even stuff that feels spontaneous.
It springs from these hidden seeds of thought you've planted, maybe without even realizing it. He has this great image. Act is the blossom of thought, and joy and suffering are its fruits. I remember that line.
Exactly. So you're constantly reaping the harvest of your own internal garden, whether you planted, good stuff or not so good stuff.
That idea of cultivation, the garden, I find that really shifts things. It makes you see yourself not as some fixed object, but as a dynamic living process.
Yeah, it's growth.
Allen insists we're a growth by law, not an artificial design. So having a noble character isn't luck. It's the direct result of consistently putting effort into right thinking.
And the opposite is also true.
Right. An ignoble character comes from a continued harboring of groveling thoughts. It's about the practice, the consistency, which leads straight into Allen's huge declaration that man is the master of thought, the molder of character, and the maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. That sounds almost godlike.
Well, hold on, because he adds a crucial point. We are always the master, even when someone's life is a mess, in weakness or degradation.
They're still the master. How?
They're just being the foolish master. They're mismanaging their own mental state, their own inner household, basically running their life badly from the inside out.
Okay. So the difference between, say, failure and success isn't about being a master, but about being a wise one. It's about awareness.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You only become the wise master when you stop blaming everything outside yourself.
Like your boss, or the economy, or bad luck.
Right. And instead, you start reflecting on your own condition, analyzing yourself, and actively discovering these laws of thought through your own experience. It's like becoming a scientist of your own mind.
From passive victim to active creator.
That's the journey. And that cultivation idea you mentioned, it brings us to maybe the book's most famous analogy, the garden of the mind.
Yes, the garden.
Your mind, he says, has to produce something. It's fertile ground, whether you tend it or just let it go wild.
It's going to grow something.
Exactly. If you don't deliberately plant useful seeds, things like purpose, focus, positive intentions, then it just gets overrun by useless weed seeds. They just drift in and take root.
And this analogy is really the bridge, isn't it? Between what's happening inside your head and what's showing up in your actual life.
How so?
Allen argues that circumstances are never random. They are always harmoniously related to his inner state. The life you have right now. You're in it because the thoughts you've consistently built into your character led you there.
Wow. No element of chance at all.
According to Allen, no. Zero. It's all a reflection of the inner landscape.
That's quite a challenge to how most of us think, which probably explains why his next point feels so provocative. He says man is buffeted by circumstances, right? Knocked around by life.
So long as he believes himself to be the creature of outside conditions, the stress, the feeling of being pushed around that only continues until you grasp that you are actually a creative power.
And that you can work with that inner soil.
Yes. That's when you step into being the rightful master, not the foolish one.
But this highlights that fundamental friction point in self-improvement, doesn't it? Allen saw it all the time.
What friction?
People are desperate to improve their circumstances. They want the better job, the nicer house, more money, the drill.
Sure, that's natural. Yeah.
But crucially, they are unwilling to improve themselves. And so Allen says, They therefore remain bound. You can't fight the effect, your difficult situation, while you're still feeding the cause with your own thinking.
That makes sense. You have to address the root.
Exactly.
And Alan doesn't just leave it abstract. He gives these really concrete examples, these little case studies.
Yeah, they really drive the point home.
Like the man who's miserably poor. Okay, so he avoids work. He tries to cheat his employer because he thinks he's underpaid.
Seems understandable on one level, maybe. But what's really happening, according to Alan, he's acting out lazy, deceptive thoughts. And by doing that, he's actually attracting to himself a still deeper wretchedness. He's reinforcing the very condition he hates.
That's a tough one, though, because it sounds like it's ignoring real-world factors like, systemic poverty or lack of opportunity. Is he being too simplistic?
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
I think Alan would argue the starting point isn't the issue whether rich or poor, it's the mental reaction within that situation.
Yeah.
He pairs that poor man example with the rich glutton.
Ah, the one who wants health but won't give up his rich food.
Right. He'll pay doctors fortunes, but he won't sacrifice his desires, his cravings. His wealth doesn't save him. His lack of inner control binds him to sickness.
Okay, I see the parallel. It's the internal state driving the external outcome, regardless of starting wealth.
And there's the third one, too, the dishonest employer.
Trying to cut corners on wages. Yeah, using crooked measures for bigger profits. But then, inevitably, he goes bankrupt, not just financially, but in reputation, too. And who does he blame?
The economy, competitors, anything but himself.
Exactly. Not knowing that he's the sole author of his condition.
So if you take those three, the poor worker, the rich glutton, the shady boss, you see Alan's core message crystallized, don't you?
Yeah. Circumstance doesn't make you.
It reveals you to yourself, primarily.
Mm-hmm.
The person is always the causer, even if, as he says, it's nearly always unconscious.
Okay, so if we're the cause, what about suffering? Is it just bad karma?
Alan frames it differently. Suffering isn't random punishment. It's simply the direct effect of wrong thought. It's a clear signal, like a warning light, indicating you're out of harmony with how things truly work, with the law, as he might put it.
So it has a purpose, then?
Absolutely. Its sole and supreme use, he says, is purification, to burn out all that is useless and impure in your thinking, like fire refining gold.
And suffering stops when?
When you achieve that mental purity.
Yeah.
Because then there's nothing left to burn.
Okay, so suffering purifies. How does the positive side work? How do pure thoughts become, well, real things, good circumstances?
It has got a crystallization. It's how thought transitions from being just this internal thing to becoming tangible reality.
Crystallizes,
Yeah.
like forming a solid.
Exactly. He says thought rapidly crystallizes into habit, and habit solidifies into circumstance. It's a chain reaction. Thought, habit, circumstance.
And this works both ways, I assume, negative and positive.
Perfectly symmetrical. If you consistently entertain, say, bestial thoughts, they crystallize into habits, maybe drunkenness, maybe sensuality, and those habits eventually solidify into circumstances like destitution or disease.
A downward spiral. Solidify.
Yeah. Or lazy thoughts might crystallize into habits of uncleanliness or dishonesty, which then solidify into circumstances of, well, foulness and beggary, as he puts it.
Grim stuff. But the positive path.
It follows the exact same process. Pure thoughts crystallize into habits of temperance, self-control. Those habits solidify into circumstances of repose, peace.
Yeah.
Loving, unselfish thoughts crystallize into habits of self-forgetfulness, maybe service to others. And those solidify into sure and abiding prosperity and true riches. Not just money, but a rich life. So it all comes back to the starting point, your thoughts. Which brings us back to choice. Here's the key distinction Alan makes. You can't just snap your fingers and directly choose your circumstances right now. You can't say, I want a different job today, and have it appear.
Right, that would be magic.
But, he insists, you can choose your thoughts. And by doing that, indirectly but surely, you shape your future circumstances. Nature, he says, helps us gratify the thoughts we most encourage. It responds.
Okay, so choosing thoughts is the lever. But how do we make that effective? Just thinking isn't always enough, is it? No.
Yep.
And Alan stresses this. Thought needs to be linked with purpose. Without a clear goal, your thinking just drifts. It doesn't lead to intelligent accomplishment. Aimlessness. He calls it a vice.
He does. It's not just inefficient, it's actively harmful to your potential. Your thoughts need steady focus on a legitimate aim.
And what gets in the way of that focus? The big ones. Doubts and fears. Alan is really strong on this. They have to be rigorously excluded. Why?
Because they are disintegrating elements. They undermine everything. They make your efforts crooked, weak, ineffective, basically useless.
So confidence isn't just nice to have, it's essential.
It's the foundation. The will to do something successfully only comes from the deep down knowledge, the belief that you can do it. If you conquer doubt, Alan suggests, you've pretty much conquered failure.
Wow. And does this power of thought extend to our physical bodies too? Our health?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For Alan, the body is simply the servant of the mind. It obeys the operations of thought.
So sick thoughts lead to?
A sickly body. He's quite dramatic about it, actually. He says thoughts of fear have literally killed people as fast as a bullet.
Seriously?
That's his claim. And that they are constantly killing thousands more, just maybe more slowly, by fostering disease.
Yikes. Okay, so the flip side must be true too.
Yes, the restorative power follows the same logic. Strong, pure, and happy thoughts build up the body in vigor and grace.
So it's not just about diet and exercise.
Alan argues that changing your diet won't do much lasting good unless you also change your thoughts. Clean thoughts lead naturally to clean habits, including healthier eating. Purify the mind, he says, and the body will follow. You'll naturally lose the cravings for things that harm it.
This feels like it connects to the idea of having a vision for yourself, doesn't it?
Definitely. This leads into his section on visions and ideals. He has this amazing line, "Dreamers are the saviors of the world." I like that.
It's about aspiration. To desire is to obtain. To aspire is to achieve. Your vision pulls you forward.
He tells a story about this, right? A young man.
Yeah, a really powerful anecdote. This poor youth working terrible hours in some unhealthy workshop, totally uneducated by conventional standards.
But internally, he cherishes this ideal. A vision of refinement, intelligence, a better way of being. He works on himself, develops his latent talents based on this vision.
And what happens?
Eventually, his internal reality becomes so strong, so changed, that his external circumstances literally have to shift to match it. The workshop, Alan writes, had to fall out of his life as a garment is cast aside.
Wow. Just fell away because he outgrew it internally.
Exactly. And he goes on to become this person of influence, achieving his ideal because he became one with it in his mind first.
But how do other people see this kind of transformation?
That's the catch. Alan points out that the thoughtless, the ignorant, and the indolent, basically. People who don't understand these principles, they just see the end result, the success.
And they call it
Luck or chance. They have no idea about the journey, the internal battles, the trials and failures and struggles that were all part of the voluntary effort to realize that vision.
they miss the cause and just see the effect.
Precisely. They never see the relentless mental practice that went into it.
So if we follow this path, cultivating thought, having a vision, what's the ultimate state, according to Alan?
Serenity. Calmness of mind. He calls it one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom.
Not just being passive, though.
No, not at all. It's the result of long, patient effort in self-control. It's the flowering of life, the fruitage of the soul. True strength under control.
And how does this serenity affect things practically?
The calm person, because they understand cause and effect so deeply, they stop worrying, fretting, grieving uselessly. They adapt.
And people notice that.
Oh, absolutely. Their business improves, relationships stabilize. Why? Because people inherently trust and prefer to deal with someone who has that strong, equable demeanor. Serenity is this powerful, poised state above the chaos of anxiety and doubt.
Okay, so bringing this all together, for someone listening right now, someone maybe feeling stuck or wanting change, what's the final message? It culminates in this really direct statement from Alan. Man only has to right himself to find that the universe is right.
Meaning, as you change your thoughts about things and people, those very things, and people will start to alter towards you. The change starts within, and the world reflects it back.
So the universe isn't hostile or indifferent, it's responsive, entirely responsive and fair. The core takeaway is you get what you earn through your consistent thought patterns. No more, no less. Your life will be as small as your controlling desire, as great as your dominant aspiration. It's all set internally. So the final challenge for you, the listener, isn't really about finding some external secret. The proof, Alan insists, is right there inside you.
The challenge is to actually do the work. Systematic introspection, self-analysis.
And Alan makes a bold promise, doesn't he? He says, if you radically alter his thoughts, you will be genuinely astonished at the rapid transformation it will effect in the material conditions of his life.
It might not be instant, like flipping a switch, but the potential for transformation is profound. It just requires that constant practice, that ongoing investigation of your own mind.
So if you feel chained by your current life, remember this deep dive. According to Alan, those chains are always, always forged in the workshop of your own thinking. We really encourage you to continue exploring these powerful inner laws for yourself.